What's up? Once again, inside the Savage Studio, I'm Diana, your host. And today I've got Ciara Carrillo with me here ready to share her story. I'm super excited about this one because you probably follow her on social media. You've probably seen her on social media. Maybe you've met her at one of the networking events or mixers that she's attended throughout the city. Or maybe you even had your lashes done by her or taken a course or two with her. But do you know her actual story? Do you know how she started her business? Do you know the ups and downs that she's had throughout her business, the challenges that she's overcome? Well, this is the perfect episode to tune into because today she's here. She's ready to share her story with us, and I'm super excited to have you here. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So right off the bat, I just want to start off with, I have always admired the fact that you have this sisterhood that you've formed alongside with the women that are part of your business. They're at CBxLA Beauty Lounge. I think it's so awesome. I've always admired this about you guys, how you guys are like the prime example of what empowering and supporting one another can do, whereas you defeat that idea of people thinking, oh, if I help somebody else, it's gonna take away from myself, right, or it's gonna take away my money or whatnot. And you guys are the complete opposite. You guys are the example of what supporting each other can do.
Definitely, yeah. Those are definitely my sisters. It's been an interesting journey, to say the least. It has not all been sunshine and rainbows. I will say that, but it is. They are literally my sisters. Like, blood could not make us any closer. To be honest, though, we've actually only known each other like about less than 5-6 years, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, but no one could ever tell.
I could have sworn you guys were like, you guys went to high school together and grew up and did like the road trips together and all this and that. No?
No, but we are literally sisters. We all in some way prayed for each other somewhere down the line, experiencing in life. So it's pretty crazy. I can like break it down for you on how everyone is. Well, actually, I stand corrected. Heidi and Brittany, they knew each other, and then Carolyn and Heather, they didn't realize they knew each other, but they knew each other when they were kids.
Yeah.
But I have personally not known anyone more than 5 years. And
this has to do because you're not from San Antonio.
Right. I'm not. I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona. I did go to high school here though. On the south side, I went to Harlandale. And I'm originally from Phoenix, moved here in 2004.
Okay.
I think.
But you spent most of your childhood over there in Phoenix.
Yes. We actually got reunited. I'm the oldest of 12. We were in foster care at
12
the time.
siblings?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And we all got reunited here in San Antonio. My grandma, she was able to get custody of, there was 7 of us at the time. And yeah. And now all of 11 of us live here.
So did you guys grow up together over there in Phoenix or no?
Oh, we did. Our biological father, he lived over there.
Okay.
He passed away like 2 years ago, but we're from there, I guess you can say. But I don't know. It's kind of like half my life was over there and half was here. So San Antonio's home.
Gotcha. So how was it growing up with all those siblings? And you're the oldest one, right?
Yes. There's only 2 girls, my sister and I, and so it's 10 boys. And I mean, honestly, I didn't know anything other than like having a lot of people around at all times, Yeah. Like that's considered a norm for us. So, I mean, I would say fun. I didn't know any better. I didn't know we were poor. I didn't know, you don't know any of that when you're a kid. So I would say that my childhood was great until I heard other stories and I'm like, oh.
What was it that made you realize that you guys, you said were poor or didn't have more, what other people had?
I think like bouncing around to other family members at the time, and then just going to so many different schools. You hear other people's experiences and having parents, like we don't really, we still don't really have that. We don't really have family. It's like we're creating the family foundation now. It's just us.
Was it just your father and your siblings?
No, our father's never really been in our life. He actually died from heart failure to his drug of choice. So he would get my mom pregnant and then go back to prison, you know.
Okay.
It was kind of that cycle. But
So it was more your mom in the picture.
It was my mom, but she had her own demons that she was fighting,
Yeah.
like, and still, you know, she's currently incarcerated. So we are my oldest brother, the one that's 13 months younger than me. We're mom and dad. Like, so we're creating the family traditions now, and some of us have kids. And
At what age did you take upon yourself that role, that motherly role?
I would probably say about 7 or 8.
Really?
Yeah, my mom, she actually
Wow.
feels she apologizes to me at every conversation to this day. You know, like, she says that she took away my childhood because I had to help her. You know, I think it's kind of common in a lot of families that have larger or like a lot of kids. You know,
Yeah.
they kind of have to. The oldest has to assume that parent role. So I mean, for me, again, I didn't know like any better. It was just like, these are my siblings. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. You know, there's a verse in the Bible that talks about how God has a plan for you since the moment that he forms you in the womb of your mother. And he had to have had an incredible plan with you so that at such an early age you would have the understanding of taking on that role and what that role meant to take on. Because I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, but at his age, I don't think my 8-year-old would ever right now, you know,
Right.
be able to understand or take on those types of responsibilities. So for you to be able to do that,
I have a 7-year-old, and that's crazy. I'm putting that into perspective now. He would not.
Right?
He would not be able to take care of his sister. Like, the
like
house
he
would burn
can
down.
barely, you know, still take care. He still struggles to take care of himself, let alone, you know.
Independent for sure, but taking care, no, definitely not. We're from a different cloth.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So what was it like? I mean, take me like through the daily experience of what you had to go through. I mean, taking on that responsibility of all your siblings.
how far do you want to go back? I'm like, they were different.
What
ways.
are like some of the earlier thoughts of that come to mind when you think about that?
I think that I developed a very thick skin, you know, because I didn't realize until my like late 20s that it was with my previous relationship. He would say, like, you realize how you're so unemotional, it's not normal. Like like being so numb is not normal, because
Okay.
I feel like it was definitely like one of the main things I struggled with in a relationship was being affectionate, because, you know, when times are tough, you don't get to cry being the oldest. You don't get to like panic. It's just like you have to game face, you know, like your younger siblings are looking up to you and someone's got to hold it down. So it's like my brother and I were the same. We're literally the same person. And we, even like hearing stories about him or from his friends, like, we're the same. Like, you just have to get it done. Like, there's no point in crying about it. Like, you deal with it later type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the things I had to learn early on, that like, it's going to be okay. Like, just push through. And then it helped me with anything really that I faced in my 20s. I would say 20s were probably the harder years, because I was a young mom, I had a child pretty young. So that was definitely challenging. But the things that I learned early in my childhood helped me like prepare for that.
Did you ever question your parents or any of the relatives that were around you about, you know, what was going on with your family, with your parents, their situation, and why you were being put into that situation?
I didn't question, because I was always told growing up that God gives his strongest angels the toughest battles. And my family, my dad and my mom, they were both like the black sheep of their families. So their kids, we were already like, people already had us out as like not gonna be anything, you know, like we were just like the bad. I wouldn't know how to like say it, but like people would just turn cheek for us. We were like bounced around, you know, like more of a
There
hassle.
wasn't high expectations for you guys.
Definitely not. And then it wasn't until we moved away. It was like coming to Texas was like a fresh start. I was only 12, I think, when we moved here.
Did you know that? Did you know about how you were perceived by the rest of your family?
Oh, I mean, yeah, you could tell like the way family would, you know, make their body language says a lot. Like people just treat you different when like you have less, or, you know?
Yeah.
And
did
so
it affect you in any way?
I think it motivates. It
Really?
motivated me. Like someone's got to break this, you know, like we will be something.
I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah, definitely had that mindset. And even though my mom, like she went through what she went through, she would always tell us like, you have to be better than me. You know, like she would instill that motivation into us. And in some form, she would try to find like positivity to like encourage us with, at least at minimum. Like she does her best. She actually, I still have 2 of my little brothers. They're with me currently. I think they're 10 and 8. I say I think because there's so many, but they live with me right now. And
Girl, I will not judge you if you pull out your phone and start looking through your notes, because I'm sure
honestly,
you have it all
we
in your
have a
notes.
shared like document with everyone's birthday, because there's just, it's so hard. Like in November, I have 5 of my brother's birthday, or 4
Wow.
of them. It's crazy.
One every week.
Honestly, it's like that. And then now you add like our kids,
Yeah.
which are the grandkids, in the mix, and it's like, it's crazy with
Yeah.
holidays. But yeah, 2 of my brothers, they live with me now. And my sister and my brother, we're all back to back. So I'm 32, and then my brother's 31 and my sister's 30. We all come together to take care of the 2 little ones during this time for my mom, you know, just because we don't want them to go through what we went through. Some of my brothers, they went through some crazy things like in the system in Arizona, in foster care and the shelters and stuff. So at least they now have us, you know, like we just stick together.
So what happened that you had to be separated and you ended up over here in San Antonio?
My mom and my dad just made a lot of bad decisions, like different. I mean, you can name the crime, but the kids have to go somewhere, and they did try to do that. You know, we bounced around, but it was just too large of a family for anyone to take on, you know, 7 kids. So they ended up like, you know, their hands were tied at that. And now being a parent, I understand like it would be really difficult to take on someone's 6 kids on top of your own family. So I don't hold any grudges, you know, I don't have any bad feelings towards any of my family that's in Arizona. You know, they had their own family to take care of. But going through the system, I just like try to look at any situation as a positive. I got to travel a lot in foster care and like do things that I probably wouldn't have been able to do, to be honest, like had I not gone. And then it also taught me other things like I'll say networking, but it's like you're just meeting so many people at a young age, and like you get that like shyness out the door. You have to talk to people, or you'll just feel awkward and be by yourself and be depressed. And that's my sister and I. We would, anytime we got bounced around in a different home, the first thing we would do is hang our pictures up, because like home is where you make it, you know. And so we would always try to keep that in mind, that we still had each other.
So you and your sister were placed together.
Yes,
and this was in
separated.
Phoenix.
Yes.
Okay, and the rest of your siblings, they were also all separated?
The 4 boys at the time, they tried to keep them together, but still that's like a large group to take on. So I know at one point it was like 2 and 2, and then eventually there was a police officer at the time that she took all 4 of them on, and she set up visitations with my sister and I. So that was really cool.
That's
we got
awesome.
to see them.
I was just going to ask you, I mean, what kind of communication did you have with your siblings during this time? Or was the communication cut off?
It wasn't cut off. I mean, we were too little for phones or anything, and cell phones weren't even like a thing back then. But you would have a case manager assigned to you, and so they would still try to give you some type of visitation.
What were your feelings and your thoughts while you're going through this?
Well, that was a really long time ago, but I just remember trying to be there for my sister. she's an emotional little ball, or she was at least. So I would always just try to protect her because she didn't have the skin that I had. So that was my only thing. She was like my baby, you know.
What did you think was going to happen while you were there? Did you ever think that you guys were going to be reunited?
Yeah, I knew this wasn't the end, you know, like eventually we would. So why not make the best of whatever situation we're going through? We didn't truly know how long it was going to be because my mom, like, she had gotten arrested. So we really didn't know, but at 18 you get out anyways. So
were you hoping to go back with your mom? I mean, were your siblings hoping that you guys were going to be back with your mom, or I mean, what were you guys hoping?
I know that we did want to be together. I'll admit I went through like different emotions with my mom. Sometimes I resented her, and like I didn't always want to be with her for sure. I didn't know because I didn't think it was like the best thing for us. But I know at the end of the day, we wouldn't be here without her. Like, she's obviously given us life. So I had hoped that she would change, and she did eventually. So I guess I would say yes. Like, to answer your question, yes, I did hope that we would all be reunited. There was a lot of things that my mom and I had went through when I was in high school, and that would be my like reminder, like, you wouldn't be here without her. She's still going to be your mom at the end of the day. So just like let it go. You know, it's not worth fighting. And then I'm sure I was a pain with like my attitude in high school as well. But I didn't exactly know how to deal with all of those like emotions that I had bottled up. It was like a learning process over time.
While you're going through all of this, did you ever have moments where you would be like, well, I'm never going to be this, and I'm never going to do this. You know, I'm never going to, one day when I have kids, I'm never going to do this. Or was there, were you already thinking ahead of what you were not going to do?
I literally wanted a daughter. Like I always prayed for a daughter because I would see girls in high school that like, my mom's my best friend. And like, they had like their moms would be there with them and supporting. And I craved that so much. So like when I had a daughter, like she's still like, she'll make me cry right now thinking about her because I'm so in love with Callie. Like, so it's crazy because I did crave that. Sorry, I don't want to get emotional.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, to answer your question, I did think a lot of things like I will be somebody, like I will change the curses in our family. Like we will be somebody together. We will be a united family. And even with the struggles that we've all faced individually or together as a family, at the end of the day, we still have each other.
A lot of people who are put in difficult situations, such as yourself, develop this I can't mentality. I can't because of this, because I was put in this situation, because my family was not good to me, or things like this. But you're speaking all about how you kept yourself motivated, and you were at such a young age. Where do you think these thoughts of positivity, motivation, where were they coming from?
I can't remember a specific person. I just talked about this with my boyfriend the other day, that he was sharing some experiences in his life and how grateful he was that he had his father and his granddad and like positive male role figure, or did I say that right?
Yeah, male figures.
Male role models in his life. And I couldn't even relate. Like I almost got emotional. I was just like, I don't even know what that feels like, you know, like. And so I couldn't help but like be appreciative of like having that for my kids, like my boys, you know, that's too breaking a generational curse, because I can't even name a grandpa that I've had, you know, like, and then my dad, like he wasn't there. So I don't know what that feels like to have that stability, I guess. So to be able to provide that for my kids, I don't know. It's just it's a high in itself.
How did you end up here in San Antonio?
It was October 1st, 2004. That was the day that we landed. That was the first time I was on a plane, and the seven of us, my grandma had brought us over here.
Were you still in the system? Had she gotten you out of the system, or you guys had already?
That was like finalizing us exiting the system in Phoenix.
How did you find out that it was your grandmother that was going to take you guys in?
Our
And
caseworker told
all
us.
of you? Yeah.
I didn't really remember her. Apparently, we lived with her for a little bit in California when we were younger, but I just knew that she was my mom's mom. And in Arizona, it's a lot of my dad's side of the family. So
you never really had any contact with her.
Not that I could remember.
While you guys were with your mom.
Yeah, it was minimal.
Did she ever talk about her?
My mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, she would talk about her, but they weren't close or anything. I mean, I'm sure she was appreciative that she was taking her kids to be reunited, but I didn't really remember much with my grandma. She actually just passed away recently as well, and so she was the mom, and it was a hard time for some of my younger brothers because she was the mom of our family.
So take me to that day where you're with your caseworker and you guys find out that you're getting reunited, that you guys are going to the same place together, and that you're going to be with this person.
That was an emotional time. We were just happy, Texas was going to be a fresh start for us. Like I think it was the end of 8th grade. So it was just like, that's really what it was, like fresh start completely. We didn't know what that looked like. It's a completely different state. So we were just excited to be together. You're still a kid at that time.
And how was that adjustment arriving here in San Antonio and getting to stay with grandma?
It was interesting. So
interesting.
At the time, she lived with her son who had 5 children. And so we crammed into this very little house. It was like a 2-bedroom house with a little shack in the back. And that was like a 1-bedroom thing. And it was just interesting, but it was family, Even coming to school here was interesting. I had went to so many schools, and I was so excited that I got to, I knew I was going to finish out 8th grade, and then I got to stay at a school for 4 years.
That was the most exciting thing ever.
That was the highlight for me. I'm like, hell yeah, we get to stay at school.
Yeah.
School has always been an escape for me. So that I remember being so excited about that. Like I get to go to the same school for more than, 3 months.
Yeah. And I can imagine, because at that time it's like, you're thinking about, okay, if I make friends, I'm actually going to be able to, be open with them and not afraid that tomorrow I'm going to have to say goodbye or anything like that. And at that age is so important to be able to have, at least one friend, right, that you can confide in and talk to. And
I currently have an 8th grader. He's going to 9th grade, and it's crazy to see. Like I remember being his age but feeling like an adult, and now to see him transform and get ready for high school, it's a beautiful thing. But I remember back when I was so excited just to be in Texas. I love Texas, or San Antonio. It's definitely home. We've made it home for sure.
So once you are here in San Antonio, established, and you and your siblings are going to school and everything, what was your home life like? What was it living with your grandmother and the upbringing that you guys had once you guys were with her?
I'll say it was nice to have a family member believe in you. My grandma, she couldn't do much. She was already older, but she believed in us, and you could feel the love. She just, taking on that many kids, I have so much respect for her.
What was it that she did or that she said to you to make you feel that way, make you feel welcome or different from what you had known in the past?
She just, I wish you could talk to her. She just we called her the OG. She was just the coolest grandma. I don't know. I think she longed for a relationship with my mom, and so she got that from us in abundance because there's so many of us. So, and I remember one of my brothers was her baby, and I think she saw my mom in him, to be honest. So for me, I wasn't as close to my grandma, but it just was so fulfilling and satisfying to see my siblings have that. I was already kind of numb to everything. I didn't really open up to many people, even when I got here. I don't know. I kind of had like a visor on. Like I didn't want to get too close to anyone because at any given moment someone can leave, you know? So I think I had developed habits of like being numb. It was kind of what I was explaining earlier. So and that
applied to friendships, to relationships, to
anybody.
with...
I had this weird thing. I would talk to anyone I like, approached, or anyone in the room. I would greet you. I would talk to you, but I wouldn't go too far, like, because I don't want to get too attached and then not be able to like see you again or whatnot. Sorry.
And I think that is, I mean, you could call it a syndrome. I think that that's something that I've heard from a lot of people who have gone through the foster system, who have bounced from home to home, or, have had similar situations like yourself, where that barrier that you put between you and other people is very prominent, and it's very hard to let go of.
Right.
Even when you're already in a good place.
I will say that I struggled with it until I took this personal development camp. It's called Discovery, and it was in Round Rock, Texas, and there was 3 tiers to it. And it wasn't until the second one that I really was able to regain the comfort of being vulnerable with someone. Like, it allowed me to be vulnerable. And it actually was like a switch, because I was extremely vulnerable after that course. And I was like, what is wrong with me? It was worse.
What happened?
They didn't fix me for everything. The sun didn't come out and I was like crying. It was ridiculous. But it was like, I had a chance to redefine those boundaries, and decide who I wanted to allow in my life and be vulnerable with, so as an adult or a young adult, I had a more developed mindset than as a kid. But that was definitely a struggle. Thinking back. I might have looked mean at some points. I don't know.
So with being here and finally having more stability and a more stable situation, what did you start thinking about future plans? Did you start thinking about, I want to do this, or I would like to look into this, or what was your mentality going through high school and being over here in San Antonio?
Through high school, I remember wanting to learn as many things as I could.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, school was an escape for me. So any club I could join, I would do it. And I was on the dance team too. And so I would just try to do as many things as I could, just to absorb anything I could, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Even when I went to college, I would change my mind all the time about what direction I wanted to take.
What were some of the things that you were considering?
At one point, I wanted to be a cop, and I knew I wanted to run a business. I dropped out of college on that degree, and that was just because of the things I was facing as a young mom. Making bad decisions and not knowing how to manage my time wisely back then. So that I didn't complete, which is weird because that's the only thing I do now. I manage a business now, but that's the only one I didn't complete my degree in. I have a degree in criminal justice. So that might have something to do with my childhood and having the parents I did. I know I wanted to be a cop, and I didn't because of the hours. They work on all holidays, and I didn't want to give that absence to my kids because I just remember the absence that I had from my parents. So it was an automatic no. That's the same reason I didn't join the military 2 times, because I had trust issues. I didn't want to give anyone the temporary custody of my kids. So
by this time, you already have your first baby.
Because your senior year in high school.
Your senior year in high school.
Yeah. And that was hard. That was definitely not easy.
You were not prepared for that?
No, I didn't. I didn't even
After
know.
raising 12, how many siblings?
I didn't even know. I knew I would be a great mom.
Okay.
I just hadn't I didn't know I was gonna be a mom like so early. I definitely could have been more careful, but I also didn't find out till I was like a little over 4 months. So at that point, you know, like your life's about to change in
Yeah.
like 5.5 months. So it was a big shift in what I had seen for my future.
What was your mental state at that point when you find out that you're pregnant and that you're gonna have this baby?
I was really, really disappointed with myself. I really couldn't. I remember at that time, I wasn't speaking to my mom. I was always getting kicked out and like taken back because I was a minor. So I just remember being so upset with myself.
Why were you having so much trouble? What was
With my mom, oh, she just had issues. I mean, my attitude didn't help, but I don't know. I feel like
Did any of that have to do with your past? Do you feel like you were rebelling or you were kind of?
Definitely not. I was not a bad kid by any means. I was always really good in school. I think I just irritated her a lot. My mom would always tell us like, you have to be better than me, and my mom only went to 8th grade and then dropped out. So it seems like it seemed like after I completed 8th grade was when our relationship like took a turn. And it's like I felt as if she like hated me or resented me. And so I remember trying to be who I thought she wanted me to be, and like we just always bumped heads, and eventually
Nothing was ever good enough.
Yeah. Eventually I just fit into that teenager role and like started giving attitude back, and I never necessarily rebelled. I respected her still, but she was facing things at that time that, I mean, she was my mom, like, so it didn't matter if she was wrong, she was right in her eyes. And so as a kid, you're gonna lose every time to your parent. So when I found out I was that far along in my pregnancy, I'm like, oh my god, this is a time bomb now. I like I have to do something because my kid has to have, like, he can't go through what I was going through. So, and then man, that was so many struggles in itself. There's way too many experiences that I can name. It was really, really hard growing up with my son. That was a really hard year.
But your mentality was always, he's mine.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to make sure that he doesn't go through what I did.
I was like overly protective of him. Like that's why I didn't even want to join the military, because no one was gonna get him. You know, he was mine. I have to do better for him. And now he's like one of my besties. He's about to be 15.
So at what point do you think that you developed your, because you mentioned it earlier about wanting to start a business, but how or when or why did you develop this entrepreneur mentality and thinking of, I need to have my own business? That's what I want to do.
I think I was 26. I've always been the type of person that has multiple things going on. Like I can't sit still. And I used to think that it was like just being a hustler. I would have like 4 jobs and like just to stay busy type of thing. And I didn't, know what type of business I wanted. So at 26, I had gotten out of retail and also the service industry. I was bartending and working overnight at Victoria's Secret. And I started working for this oil field company, and I was really like a guinea pig of theirs. I was blessed to have been taught every department, and I did really well, honestly. There was a gentleman there who taught me. He had a cleaning company, and he taught me the ins and outs of how he ran his company. He actually allowed me to, work in addition to the oil field job.
Like an internship?
It wasn't an internship. He was just like, hey, do you want to pick up a couple shifts?
Oh, okay.
And so I did, to learn his business.
Yeah.
And then he started teaching me how he ran it. And so then I actually opened a cleaning company, and he helped me every step we did. Like he taught me everything I know. I mean, he's really like a guardian angel. Because he just gave it all, like he was just gave it all to me.
Yeah.
So I was very, very grateful and absorbing everything. I was a sponge at that time. And then when COVID had happened, they furloughed all of us. And so my cleaning company, like I lost the contracts. He lost his contracts. And obviously they furloughed us from the oil field job. I was already lashing as a hobby. It didn't fit my lifestyle at that time. Like I hadn't went to esthetician school. I had my boys and their sports. It just was not.
Okay, so at this point you already have another baby.
Yes. Well, no.
No.
I have my boys, but I hadn't had my daughter yet.
Okay.
And so when I got furloughed, I was about to go on maternity leave.
And
with
at this
Callie.
point, also, did you already have your 2 siblings or not yet?
No. That was recently. That was this year.
Okay. So you have your, how many boys?
I have my 3 boys.
Okay.
And from my previous relationship, I had 4 at that time.
So, and you're running this cleaning business.
Cleaning company and working. I was in the safety department before. Oh no, the recruiting department before I left.
Okay.
Or got furloughed. And I would.
So you were working, you were running your business, you had your family.
Yes.
All at the same time.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah. And I would still lash on the side as a hobby.
Okay.
So I would do maybe like 3 girls a week.
How did you learn how to do that?
I had taken a course and a friend of mine had taught me because she had learned maybe like a year prior. And so I really learned so that I could do hers because she never really had hers. And then I just picked it up pretty quickly. So then I took a course and then eventually went to esthetician school as well. And it wasn't until that first year when I was on maternity leave, the first year of COVID, I'm like, why haven't I done this? Like, I could do this. And so I just went full force with it. My house, I had made a room into like a lash studio. And then I had met Brittany, my business partner, a little before I had the home office or the home studio. And I had just told her like, what about opening a salon? You know, like, would you be my business partner? And she had just gotten into it because of me as well. Or like I interested her because I did her lashes. I was traveling actually at that time. And that's how I met her. And then here we are. We just hit 1 year at our salon together.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So how did you guys go about developing the concept that you...
For CBxLA?
Yes.
Well, we just knew that we wanted to collaborate.
Okay.
We didn't have...
And at this point, it was just you two? Or was there other people that you wanted to bring in?
In the beginning, it was just us. We had friends that were developing their businesses also at that same time. And we knew that we hoped that they would come. But we truly didn't know. We just kind of wanted to go full force with it and open
Both of you guys were doing lashes at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
This was 2021, maybe 2020.
Okay.
We just knew that we wanted to get a salon. I was taking on way too many clients, and I kind of got in my head about all these people coming to my house. So,
what was your family saying? About all these
when you walked in, the office was right there. It was not. It has its pros and cons. You know, I was feet away from the kids if they needed something, so I loved that and being able to be more present and involved. And I didn't have to dress up. I mean, I still don't, but it was just different. You're in the comfort of your home, so it was a lot different, a lot easier to turn that switch off when you're about to jump into mommy mode. You know. So that was easier. Now there's pros and cons to being working out of home too. So I just kind of like try to see the positive in everything and like enjoy everything for what it is. It's definitely been an experience.
So you guys start talking about, okay, let's get a salon. Let's start doing this, full force. Let's get a salon. And it's just the two of you, but how do you start developing the concept of and where do you get your ideas from of what else to add or
Right.
where to go and ask for help or who where to even start.
Right.
How do you do that?
I did have a little bit of experience since I had opened the cleaning company. So I had did all of our registration and like, as a partnership, all of that. I knew certain steps, but that only got us so far. We really, like, what we experienced opening the salon, we wouldn't have known until we experienced it. So, the way we found it, we just said, like, let's go drive around areas. We wanted to try to meet somewhere that was in the middle of us and see if we see anything. It wasn't like we didn't have the intention of getting something if we found it in that moment. We just wanted to get a feel of what we were looking for and see if it fit our needs and make a game plan.
And at this point, did you guys already have funds or how were you going to fund this project that you guys are thinking?
We had money that we had saved, but again, we didn't know how much it was going to cost. We did this without loans or like credit cards, and it was we did it with weekly goals. Every week we would set a goal and hit it and put it in the bank account.
Give us an example of like what a goal would be every week.
Well, it depends on what we needed to pay. Our signs alone were like 13 grand. And just we put like right off the bat, we put like maybe 25K into it because when we got to the building, it was just, nothing really, metal freight. And there was like a vending machine in there because I guess the building had been there before, but it had burned down.
Oh, okay.
And so they were renovating all 8 suites, or I think there's 10. They were renovating all of the businesses. So we just happened to pop in one day and ask like, what is this? We see all these empty buildings, and the contractor told us like, this was a hair salon. What type of business do you guys have? He liked our vibe. So he introduced us to the owners of the property, and we just met with them, and we liked that we were able to customize everything. But even then, we didn't know what we were doing, or not entirely. At least we didn't know how many.
Did you
watts
act like you knew what you were
needed.
doing though in front of them? Like, did you act like boss was like, yes?
We were honest. So we did have a little scratch, like chicken scratch layout. We knew what we wanted it to look like, but we didn't, like I said, we didn't know how many watts a certain thing had to be.
Yeah.
Or where the outlets should be. Like, we just kind of picked, We really didn't know. And now, it's funny, today we're doing construction now, again, just to make adjustments on things that we couldn't have known until we were, we moved in, essentially.
I hear a lot of people who say, yeah, I just faked it until I made it, and sometimes you do have to do that, especially when you don't know, but you have the person who possibly could, have the opportunity for you, and you just gotta let them, you just gotta make them feel a little confident that you know what you're doing.
The contractors were very nice to us because I'm sure we drove them crazy. Because we were just we didn't know. I mean, we know a lot more now.
So you get to this location, you decide that this is where you want to start your business. Take us to how you get ready. How do you prepare to open for business and start taking clients in?
Well, we had the whole team. Heather was there, Heidi was there, and there was another girl at the time there, and we just and
that was by word of mouth that you guys invited them, or no, how did this come about?
One of the girls I had known for some years. Heather and Britt had worked at with each other at a dental office, and I met both of them by lashing when I was trying to build my business the first year, and I would travel to clients like houses and apartments. That's how I met them. And so then they became my clients, and then eventually opened their businesses, and now we're like sisters. So Heather was there helping us. She was painting, like we were doing everything.
So you guys were very hands-on with this project.
Hands-on. The abstract walls, like everything was, it was. We've even made some expensive mistakes too. One time we had to cut down a wall, and that was like so expensive, and just to move it just like 2 feet, we didn't know, like oops. But yeah, to answer your question, the girls were there. They helped us with any of the events. All the girls are super helpful. It's something.
How did you learn to expose your business to get people to know who you were, where you're at, what you serve? Like,
I can't take credit for that. I'm probably the most mellow of the group, or the quiet one. Brittany and Heather are definitely the more colorful ones. I'll say. And we just all had a goal. The goal was to put CBxLA out there. The first year, that was priority when we wrote down our goals. And so we all contributed.
So this
to
is
that.
something that you continued with these new girls that were coming in also, that you had started with Brittany, as writing goals, right? But now you're doing it as a group with everybody else.
We tried to attend as many networking events as possible. And if all of us couldn't go, then someone would go and represent for each other. Because if they're coming in for one, they're eventually going to meet all of us. And so that was the mindset that we had. Like, you grow, I grow, like we grow type of thing. So we just wanted to get all of like the name out there that first year. And so we hit that first year. So now things have shifted a little bit.
How many networking events or mixers do you think you attended?
I don't even know. I think one of the girls has a TikTok showing all of the events. There was so many, and you don't realize, like, as the time is passing, and then we're like, whoa. Yeah, there was actually a lot of events. We still go to a lot of events. We enjoy that interaction with other businesses and being able to support them.
Yeah, it's definitely an investment that a lot of people should consider, because yes, it is time consuming, but it's so worthwhile to be able to do that, to have that face-to-face contact with people and let them know who you are and what you do.
For sure.
Social media.
Yeah. That's probably a weakness of mine.
Okay.
Is getting in front of the camera or setting aside the time to make things or work on marketing is definitely a weakness of mine. I have gotten better and I will continue to get better, but to me, this is totally an excuse, by the way, but to me, I have so many things to do. So I jot it down as a task, and that kind of takes the fun out of it because it's on my to-do list of things to get done, and I just never prioritize it, and that's not a good excuse at all. So I have I take accountability. I realize I'll be the first one to admit it's my weakness, and now I'm doing things to improve in that area. But the girls do great.
So you guys celebrated not too long ago your first year anniversary.
Yes.
How did that feel?
It was beautiful just to see the people that came out and supported us. We just really appreciated it. All the vendors that we had there. We try to support everybody throughout the year. So to see that type of energy reciprocated, it does feel good.
Yeah.
And we did things a little smarter this year than we did on the grand opening. That, we just try to learn from everything that we experience. I would say overall it was good. Reflecting
though on everything that had happened over that past year and being able to get to that point, what were your thoughts? How were you feeling?
I think all the long nights, all the stressful periods, everything was worth it because we felt a sense of accomplishment because we did it. We set the goal that we wanted to get our name out there and grow, and we did that. And now we're still doing that. Now several of us have employees added to our teams, and it's just nice to see all of us growing in our own way. So I would say wholesome. It feels very, very satisfying.
Was there any moments of doubt, of fear, of saying maybe this wasn't the right thing that I should have done? I should have done something else, and how did you get yourself out of that state of mind?
I would say no. I never doubted the decision I made to be in the beauty industry, to partner with who I partnered with, or to open the salon. I never doubted any of that, but I did learn things that I didn't know. Going into business with a friend, people always tell you not to do that, and it's truly like a relationship. You have to learn that partner and learn how they receive things, what their weaknesses are, their strengths, and they have to do that with you also for it to be able to work. And there were times where I would question our friendship, but I've never doubted the decision that we made. And I mean, Brittany is my sister. Like I love her. Like, so I definitely don't doubt anything. And then I've gotten closer with the other girls as well. So it's really a sisterhood at this point.
Ciara, I'm in awe because I really do feel like you're built different. I think that going back to everything that you've already talked about, your childhood, the experiences that you had, and the way that you've handled yourself throughout your life, it's incredible, you know, that God made you the way that you are, formed you the way that you are. And yes, maybe you went through some ups and you had your downs, but the fact that you're able to speak the way that you do, the way that you think, the way that you share, the way that you are, I just think that's incredible, because a lot of other people would have taken it as an excuse to just give up on life, or not even try. And the fact that you haven't done that, that's awesome. And that really does deserve a big round of applause and a standing ovation and everything, because it's awesome. You should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you. Actually, I have to thank the girls, because they don't realize, but they have definitely like pulled me out of my comfort zone and helped me see things in a different light as well. So they're definitely responsible for it as well. Like, they give me strength on days where I don't think that I can be strong. So they're those reminders that I need.
And I think it's cool. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. You said I prayed for them.
Definitely. I used to pray for friends like them. Just like the different people I've seen in my life. So when it happened, I was a little overwhelmed, because like, is it real? You know, you question, but there's nothing that we wouldn't do for each other. It's crazy. It's so crazy. I don't know.
There might be somebody listening to this or watching this in similar situations, or living similar situations that you have, that feel like that, you know, that life is just not or luck, or whatever it is that you believe in, is not on your side because of your upbringing, or because of the situations that you've been. Mm-hmm. But what can you tell somebody who is possibly going through something, or who has been in a situation that you have, and has a lot of self-doubt, doesn't have a lot of self-confidence?
I think that something that I remind myself of any decision I make is that you have a choice. You can, with anything, we have a choice. You can let your past define you, or it can define you in other ways and be a motivation or a reminder what not to do to get, to change things in your life. I think you just really need to believe in yourself and remember that you do have a decision at the end of the day. You don't have to be what someone else thinks you're going to be or assumes you're going to be. And the possibilities are endless once you believe in yourself. I think.
That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. Thank you so much for being here, for opening your heart and telling your story. I really do hope that anybody who, that's listening to this or watching this, gets something from it, and maybe there's somebody who's been sitting on an idea, mm-hmm. or on and thinking it's too hard, or I can't do it, or whatnot. But to see and to hear your story, maybe they get that extra little push that they needed to just go for it.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me and allowing me to tell my story.
I thank you very much, and I hope that all the blessings rain upon your business and upon your friends, and I'm really excited to that you have been here and that you've been able to share with us. Thank you so much.
No problem.